What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Daniel Dubois, Frank Warren, and Jarrell, Big Baby Miller. Get this. Daniel Dubois warned his career could be over at 26 years of age if he loses to Jarrell Miller. Danny Dubois looks to bounce back from a loss in his first title challenge by facing Jarrell Miller on December 23rd. The 26-year-old from London stepped up to face Usyk, and we all know what happened with that. He decided against a lengthy period by signing to face the controversial Miller and the trash-talking Brooklynite, best known on UK shores for failing the many tests that he had before Anthony Joshua potential fight. And while a heavy favorite with the bookmakers, some in the sport believe it's much tougher test for Dubois that ads suggest. In an interview with Boxing Social, promoter Eddie Hearn said this as much. He said, "I think it's a very tough fight. I mean, if Jarrell Miller's got a good chin, it's a very tough fight for Daniel Dubois because I feel like Jarrell puts a lot of pressure on. He's got a good engine. I think he'll try and wear Dubois down, but he's going to have to come through some heavy artillery on the way." And he said, here's more. He said, if Daniel Dubois loses, his career might be over. I would like to see him bounce back with a couple wins because I think he's a really good fighter. Against Usyk, he did well. He didn't win many rounds, but the low blow controversy. So we'll see, but I think it's a very tough fight for Daniel Dubois. And if he loses, he's not in a great position at all. Those are the words of Eddie Hearn. And let me counterpunch. For one thing, I think that Danny Dubois, if he loses this, it might not be his last fight, but it will be his last fight that means anything at all. He might get a couple smaller range fights, but people wouldn't really want to see him if he pulls the shit he pulled with Alexander Usyk or Kevin Lerena. Okay? If he pulls that, his career's finished. And it doesn't take a rival promoter like Eddie Hearn to tell you that, because Frank Warren pretty much said that all by himself. He said it in so many terms that, hey, we're looking for him to bounce back, and we need him to show some grit. We need him to show some heart. We need him to keep moving. And I think that's him saying, because if he doesn't, he's finished. It's almost like he said one part of the conversation or the phrase and left out the other. And I think that Daniel knows that. And I think behind doors, they've already told Daniel Dubois, like, look, if you lose this fight to Jarrell Big Baby Miller, it's over. Why? Because, for one, if Jarrell Miller gets a win over Daniel Dubois and Dubois just fought for the title, he's going to lose for a lot of reasons. Why? Because Jarrell Miller is a brash, shit-talking guy, for one. For two, he's infamous. He's not famous. He's the bad guy, okay? And if you don't beat the bad guy, you're going to look like the loser guy. You're going to be the loser. You're going to be that guy that people look at and like, man, you couldn't even beat Jarrell Miller. Therefore, if Jarrell Miller beats you, that means the bad guy won. Yeah, and because he couldn't take out the bad guy, people will just really lose all types of respect for him, because it's his job to beat Jarrell Miller. It's his job to take out Jarrell Miller. You heard Frank? Please, Daniel Dubois, get rid of this guy, right? Because he has to. Because that guy, the bad guy, Jarrell Miller, still to this day hasn't received a loss inside the ring. I think he has a draw. He may have a draw. But he's like Tyson Fury. He still hasn't lost yet. Now, he hasn't fought opposition like Daniel Dubois. But nonetheless, he's still undefeated, okay? And if Daniel can't knock him out, he has some problems. Now, I will go in depth with my own breakdown with Daniel Dubois, but he does have a lot of pressure on him, and he should, because honestly, I don't think Daniel at this point, I think he's just really fortunate to be on this card. You look at everyone else besides Wilder and AJ, because they're the two top guys. But besides them, no one else pretty much, Parker, you can include Parker. But really everyone else on that list either has one loss or no losses. Most of those guys are undefeated. You know what I mean? Frank Sanchez, Dimitri Bivol, Mark Madoff, even I get Caballo still undefeated. I think he's still undefeated. But you got a lot of these guys that have never tasted defeat. Okay? So these are all prime guys, and these are guys that are trying to get to a certain level. Daniel Dubois was thrown in there. And again, he just come off a loss. So normally when you come off a loss, you take a little break. So yeah, the pressure is on Daniel Dubois. Okay, so yeah, he has to deliver. And Eddie Hearn saying the obvious, yeah, he's just saying something that everyone else was thinking. Okay? That's all he's saying, because, really, Frank won't say, I think his career is finished if he doesn't. He's not going to say that, but that's the truth. Eddie's just telling the truth because it's not his fighter to worry about, over criticizing. But yeah, it's true. If Danny Dubois loses to Jarrell Miller, the cheat, the drug cheat, the bad guy, the shit-talking Brooklynite, he's going down. Okay, his career is going to go down in spirals like a sink. It's going to be over for him, and that's it. That's how it's going to go. So yeah, Eddie Hearn is absolutely right. That's why, people, I think this fight in closing is going to be one hell of a fight, because Daniel Dubois knows. And look, and if he doesn't show grit, if he doesn't show heart, if he doesn't get up, if Jarrell Miller does crowd him and he can't hurt Jarrell Miller before Jarrell Miller can hurt him, and he stays there and he sits there and he looks all skittish and weird, yeah, his career's done, because nobody will want to invest that type of money in him again. Okay? Period. But if he gets up and he shows, like, look, at least shows that he wants to fight, shows that he wants to win, shows that he's willing to go on after adversity, okay, he may have a shot even if he loses to Jarrell Miller. Okay, because if it's one of those fights of the year, which I'm hoping is going to be based on what's at stake, yeah, I think people will like him. They'll just know, hey, he can hit hard, he just doesn't have a chin. And he may have a little, willpower problem. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn stating that if Daniel Dubois loses to Jarrell Miller, it's over for him. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.